And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you after a busy weekend. I am definitely pooped, tired, sleepy, and I got good sleep. I did, but I was out 2 days in a row, out in the streets, out in the streets of New York City. How are you guys doing? How are you doing on the day after Easter? And I know that we have also a death that in the world, a very important person, the Pope. Pope passed away. I was shocked because they were saying how good he was doing and how he was of health yesterday. And I was like, holy moly, he passed away. He just lived enough to get his last Easter ceremony in. And isn't that how it goes? When you have a purpose, you live to that purpose, and then you like, I'm out, I'm done. And but it's amazing. I know there's a lot of jokes going on the internet. At first, I thought it was a prank because someone had put out there that JD Vance killed the Pope, and I was like, that his visit killed the Pope or something like that. And I was like, what? I said, this is a prank. I mean, obviously that was a prank. And then I scrolled down more and I saw NBC announce that Pope Francis had passed away. I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. I knew he was ill. I knew that he was not doing well, but they said he was doing much better since he got out of the hospital after 3 months of battling pneumonia. And but yeah, I was shocked. Were you guys shocked? Was anyone shocked? Was anyone, or did any of you guys see the prank? Did you think it was a prank at first? I thought it was a prank. Anyway, let's say good morning to some folks. Hannah's in the building. She says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. First of all, Hannah gets the gold. G gets the silver. She says, good day. And Jazzy comes in with the bronze and says, good morning, beautiful people, with those beautiful roses. And then we got I am Miss Reese is in the building. She says, good morning, RLP cousins. Yes, right, cousins. And Jay-Z says, good morning, good morning, good morning. Elise is in the building. She says, good morning, Ron and everyone. And Jazzy says, I was truly shocked. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I have to say though, he is this is my third death of a pope in my lifetime. I remember when I was a kid and which pope died first? I remember when I was a kid. I was like, I think I was in elementary school when the first a pope died in my lifetime. Then and then there was another pope that died, John Paul. I think it was Paul. And then the pope before Francis resigned, so he's technically still alive. So there's still another pope alive right now. And then Francis today, this morning. Wow. Let's see here. I see all the love. I see all you guys sharing some love here. I'll be your Jay-Z. Jazzy. I know Jazzy. I keep saying Jay-Z, right? I don't know why over the last month I've been calling you Jay-Z when I know you're Jazzy. Even though I think I said Jazzy earlier this morning, but did I say Jay-Z? I just duh. My apologies, Jazzy. If I called you Jay-Z, if I call you Jay-Z one more time, I tell you, yes, you are Jazzy, and you're the only Jazzy, and you are Jazzy Jazz. Okay, there you go. And I see in here, he said, I'll be here. And Bryson's in the building. He says, what's up, Ron? What's up, RLP fan? What's up, everybody? Happy Money Making Monday, the day after WrestleMania 41 and Coachella. Dr. Tachi's in the building. She is in the building. Good day. And I did say she said you said both. I said both. She said you said both. I'm cool with it. Maybe I'll get Jay-Z money. Ha ha. Yes, I thought I was like, sometimes my brain is moving too fast and I have to slow down. So that means I just have to slow down, slow my pace down, slow the pace down. So also with the Pope. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, maybe Elise or some of us will remember. Um Before Pope Francis became Pope Francis, the next pope that was supposed to be the pope was supposed to be the black pope. I mean, the black cardinal that came out of Africa, and that was because Africa has the largest and fastest growing Catholic population in the world. So at that time, they were conflicted on, should we make Francis Pope, or make I forgot the other the gentleman from Africa name, but they were going to there was a like this tie, or this kind of like trying to figure out which one, and then they eventually went with Pope Francis, who came out of South America, and so I do believe this. I think this time they're going to go with the African Pope. I think this time, even though the same guy is much older now, just like, I mean, he would be an old man too. So we'll see. We'll see. I know that was a big thing for the Catholic Church, was to name their first African Pope. But there were other popes in their past. But the Pope history is quite fascinating, because the popes were like kings in the old days. When you look at the history of the popes, and the popes have not always been on the side of the people. And the popes were not always the popes were literally kingdoms almost to themselves. It's a fascinating history. If you haven't had a chance to, I always take opportunity, whatever's happening in the world, I will always try to lead you back to the books to know history. And yes, Dr. Tachi says Africa has the largest population of religious people in general. Yes. Same thing with a very large Pentecostal movement in Africa. Lots of also, when I was in South Africa, there was a lot of non-denominational churches popping up everywhere. Spiritualism is in Africa. Voodoo is in Africa. If you go to Toto, the birthplace of voodoo, and it's not the voodoo that you think that people make it here in America, and it's evil and all that stuff. No, it's a different type of. It's connecting with the ancestors and a bunch of other things, but not to go too deep into that. But yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating. How many of you have seen the movie, The Conclave? Any of you guys seen The Conclave? And I haven't seen it yet. So I said, you know what? I'm going to use this opportunity to go and read, and I said, not read, but watch the movie. And then also go back in time and go back to some of my history books on the Catholic Church and the popes, because I'm that guy. I like to know when I'm in because you're going to hear about the Pope for the next, because I think now they've gone into what's called the secret chamber. They've gone into, now they're in isolation, I do believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So when the Pope passes away, they all go into no more contact with the public, and they start doing whatever they do. But yeah, it's just fascinating to me. I mean, like I said, it's me as a believer. I don't believe power resides in any human being. I really believe that you are supposed to have a personal relationship with God, and the way you need to have it with God. That's why I'm not for those that are trying to make people's live spiritually the way they think they live spiritually, that they should force their spirituality on someone else. You have the right to have the freedom in America so far, to worship the way you want to worship God the way you want to worship God, or if you don't want to worship God or believe in God. There are atheists in our society. There are agnostics in our societies. So it is okay to be who you want to be. It is not anyone's place to put their belief system on you. Dr. Taji says, exactly. Your relationship with God is a personal one. Yes. Yeah, right. Bryson. I knew Bryson would know this information. The Conclave with Ralph Fiennes. Any movie that this guy is in is always good. I don't know. It just passed by me, and it was on one of these channels for free. But this morning I went to look at it, and everyone's charging. So I'm not sure they charging because the Pope passed away. I'm not sure what happened, but I know Apple Television, you can rent it for $5.99. You can rent it on Prime, and then you can. I was like, what? What did you have to pay for it? I thought it was free. So, but I might still look at it anyway. I'm that guy that likes to know history and how things are going in the back scenes and stuff. But yeah, so that's what's going on. How many of you are in the building, if you don't mind sharing, are Catholics? And if you are a Catholic, I am definitely, my condolences go out to you, because those are the Catholic faith. This is personal. A lot of my friends, when I was in school, um, their relationship with and their connection to Catholicism was very deep, and so that's my condolences to all the folks that are Catholic, practicing Catholics, and that we pray that the next selection of the Pope will be just as good as Francis. I think Francis, they called him the Pope of the people, and he did some radical stuff. You have to give it to Pope Francis. He did a lot, even with the sanction, even when it came to homosexuality in the church, and people of color and poor people, and he did a lot of stuff that was, I mean, the other popes, I mean, the cardinals were not excited about him at first, because he was considered a radical, and he was not like them. They're not like us. He was not like the rest of the cardinals, and so a lot of folks were not pleased when he became the pope, because he was such a radical. He believed in missions. Yes, mission. Let's see here. Oops, sorry. Let me get that back to Dr. Ty says Pope Francis' mission was to be more inclusive. And but he also really, in his beginning, I think he became more. If I, I've been, obviously I follow religions and stuff that happen in the world. In the beginning, he was really radical, but I think as he aged, he became more mellowed, or more. I don't want to use the word compromising, because that's maybe a negative word for that. I think he became more lenient in some of his belief systems, and then some of his belief systems became a little more strict in his older years. Right? Some of the stuff that he was for when he was younger, he changed slightly as he got older. So, but it goes to show you that's how humans are. Human beings are. We must always leave room for humans to make changes and grow and make different. You may believe one way when you're 18 years old, but when you get to be 25, you may believe a different way. When you get 50, you definitely going to change some things, and as you get older and older, you start to change. Your belief system changes, because you live life, and living a full life and a good life will open you up to all kinds of teachings and thoughts and philosophies, because you're maturing. We never stop maturing. That's the beauty of being human. Yeah, we never stop. Dr. Tachi says, not Catholic, but went to Catholic school. My entire grammar school and first 2 years of high school. Yeah, I went to Catholic school. I went to Queen of All Saints right here in Fort Greene. Queen of All Saints. That's when Sister Francis used to walk around with her golden ruler and gave everyone a nice little spanking when we were out of control. Well, she gave them a spanking. I never got one from the golden ruler, but she had her golden ruler and she used to walk around the cafeteria. Children, silence. Stop running. Yes, that was my junior high school years in Catholic school. But I remember Sister Francis, she was a beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. And she kept a heart. She walked around that golden ruler. I'll never forget the golden ruler. As long as I live. I see here conclave. Okay, we got that indeed. Any other? So again, if you're Catholic, condolences go out to you. And Jazzy says, my dad was, but I was raised Baptist. He took me to mass a few times and to see Pope John the second when he came to Baltimore. Oh wow. Yeah, Pope John was an interesting guy too. Pope John II was really interesting. He came to New York and he was at Met Stadium back in the day. Shea Stadium. It was Shea Stadium. Let's see here. Elise says they will probably try to get someone conservative. Well, the African cardinal, I don't know his name. If anyone could find his name, he was very conservative. He was very conservative. So they might, like I said, I think they might go with the Black Pope. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hey, Janet's in the building. She says, greetings all, greetings. And today, for those that just joined, today is our Motivation Monday, so we'll be talking motivation. And if you are in the building, please hit the likes, as they say, smash the likes. And Jazzy says, yes, I agree with that, Ron. I also wonder how much of that was the pressure to conform. In a way, yes, he did. He had to conform. He was, because when he first started, he was turning the Catholic Church upside down. There were some people that were upset. They were like, what is this man doing? Who is he? Why is he doing? Because he came from he was a regular Joe. He was a regular dude. You know? So I forget which country. Did he come from Argentina? Was it Argentina or Chile? It was one of those, right? Argentina? I think, was he from Argentina? And I should have that on my screen, right? But I had no idea I was gonna go into dive into Pope Francis. But I just thought he was a fascinating Pope. I really did. I think he was an interesting person. Yes, Argentina. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. See, my memory's still good. And yeah. So anyway, again, that's what's happened. That was what, and you're gonna see it all day today. So, and all day tomorrow, all day until they get a new pope in, and they go in, then they get, remember the smoke signals back? Do you guys remember the smoke signals back in the day? The black smoke and the white smoke. I can't remember which one means what. I think the black smoke is that they're still debating, and the white smoke is they found a pope. I think that's how it goes. I think yeah. So we'll be every day looking for the puff of smoke at the Vatican. Okay, there we go. So if you didn't know, you know some more things because Ron just shared some of that stuff with you. But I always say, go read it. Don't just take my word for it. Read it. Look it up. Let this spur you on. If you're interested in history, this is a good time to dive into the Catholic Church history and understand what the process of finding the new pope. Okay, there you have it. So, how did you guys spend your Easter? How did you guys spend your Easter? What did you do? Put in your comment box. What did you do yesterday for Easter or for the Easter weekend? And while you're doing that, I'll share what I did. So, on Saturday, we had the most amazing summer day in New York City. It was 84 degrees. It was beautiful. Clear skies, a little breezy here and there, but the breeze was warm. It was a beautiful Saturday. So much so, I was supposed to sell my photography at the table downstairs. I was like, going to bring everything out. But it was one of those Saturdays where you're so conflicted that you don't know what to do because the weather throws you off because it was so warm. It was so hot here in New York. So I ended up taking my walk. I did a 4-mile walk. I went to Prospect Park, went around the park, watched all the beautiful flowers blooming, the trees are blooming, the fields are blooming, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on the great lawn in we call it the Long Meadow lawn in Prospect Park. There was so many people out. I mean, the park was packed. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to try to do 5 miles today. I don't know why I couldn't do it. I got to 4.5. I got to 4.5 miles, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's time to get on a bike and ride. And so I had to ride the bike because I was so exhausted. So I did 4 miles on my bike, and I did 4.5 miles on my bike and 2.5 miles. Sorry, let me go back. 4.5 miles I walked and then did 2.5 miles on bike. So it was a beautiful Saturday. Came home, watched, I finished watching the series Black Mirror. Is that what it's called? Black Mirror on Netflix. I love that. I love those series. So there's only one of them I did not like, but the rest of them, I finished them up. Black Mirror. I think it's called Black Mirror. Wonderful series of different, like, you have like different movie stars and actors, and they send me, and it's a British platform, British TV show series, and it's always related to technology, smartphones, nanotechnology, the brain, and all that stuff. So it was really good. Yes, it was cherry blossoms. So the cherry blossoms are beginning to come out. And when you have an 80-degree day, everything starts blossoming. So all of the trees in New York right now are all greens. Everything is green. There's not one tree with like little buds. Everything is now blossoming. And so not good for the allergies. I can definitely feel my allergies kind of like kicking in. Okay. Jazzy says, went to church. That was it. The weather was beautiful here in Maryland. And hey, Craig. Hey, Mr. McFarland's in the building. How you doing? He says, raised and the Catholic and Baptist traditions. Church, P.S. Chose marriage versus priesthood. Yes, right. Hi, Central New York, the Southern Tier, Two Rivers, the Triple Cities, Endicott, Johnson City, and Birmingham, New York. Thank you, Craig. Yes, brother. It's nice to see you here. And if you are in Instagram, come on over to our YouTube channel. You're more than welcome. Just come on over to Touch Base Daily on YouTube and just put in Google and it'll just pop up. Hannah says, I hosted a family Easter weekend. What was that like, Hannah? What was that to host a family weekend? Did any of you make dinner? Like, my godmother, when we were kids, used to make what's called the Easter dinner. And we all would go over to her house. And she cooked the spread. So we go to church. The kids, we all go to church, and then we would go back to her house, and all she had a nice size house, and all of the young people in the neighborhood would pop over. Our parents would pop over, and she would make the biggest spread. She would have turkey, chicken, ham. It was like Thanksgiving. So it was, I mean, she loved to cook. And it was like a Thanksgiving dinner, but it was Sunday, Easter Sunday, um, dinner, and we had the greatest time as kids. Did any of you guys cook for, like, special cooking, not just regular cooking? I mean, special cooking for guests. My friends in Delaware did the same thing. They have friends come over, family members. Bryson says, I've been outside all weekend from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and watch WrestleMania 41 night one at one of my sister's girlfriend's houses. Nice. You came to New York City to hang, but you got out. You said you got out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's good. So you are enjoying New York, Bryson. Hopefully you're enjoying New York City. Cass says, hey, blessed and motivated Monday. Today is our motivation Monday. Craig says, yes, Saturday was fabulous. Granddaughter's birthday, turned 2 years old. Nice. And it says, yes, food galore. It was busy, fun, loving time. Yes, there's nothing like those dinners and family time. I miss those days. Because now everyone's older. Our godmother passed away years ago. Her husband passed away years later. And my godbrothers, they are living upstate New York. And then one of my god siblings passed away. So, life goes on, right? Life goes on. And but we used to love our Easter Sundays. Our Easter Sundays as kids was always at my godmother's house, and she cooked the dickens out of the day. Janice says, had a reunion luncheon at an exquisite location, went to Easter Visual Saturday, then on to Sunday church. Wow. Janet was out and about. I love my Janet. Janet, I love you, Janet. Always leading the way for me. But yeah, so there you have it. So also, are you guys watching what's going on with the we may go into politics a little bit. What's going on with the Supreme Court and Trump? So the latest is that the Supreme Court has put their foot down. Has put their foot down and say, look, you are not going to deport people. You are not going to, because they wanted to deport another group of Venezuelans out of the country. And the Supreme Court said, no, not on our watch. You cannot do this. And of course, this time around, is very rare. Like we saw that all 9 of them vote together. But this time we had, obviously, Clarence Thomas and Alito going back to their normal voting trend. They will always vote against the people. They will always vote against the people. Right? The rights of people, they will always vote against the people. They are paid to be, obviously, allegedly paid, but we've seen some of the books. But yeah, so the question is if they do this, how will the courts enforce it? And now there is some debate on, they said they will have to use the marshals to arrest people. That now the process that's being shared on from some of the judges and lawyers that are the people that are on the think tanks on these talk shows is that the courts will use the marshals to arrest. They may not arrest Trump, because of the Supreme Court's conclusion last year. But they might, what they could do, not might, what they will do or could do is arrest all of those people that are doing what he says. So they will arrest the people that are putting them on the plane. They will arrest the pilots. They will arrest all of the people around the deportation. They may not get Trump. They can't arrest Trump, but they can arrest all the other people because they do not have immunity. Yeah, well, yes, they will hold him in contempt, but they can't arrest him. We will be in a constitutional quagmire, as they say. These says, I am waiting to see what happens with the case. They are hearing that would give him the right to arrest anyone for any reason and send them to another country. I don't, you know what, as I begin to, I'm thinking that Roberts and the two other Republican Supreme Court justice, the 7, I think those people will join with the Democrat selected judges on the case of saving democracy. Because I had a conversation with some folks this weekend, with some friends, we courtyard people, hang out in the courtyard and we talk, my neighbors. And we are no longer in a world, even though it's superficially there that people think it's Democrats against Republicans, as in the Republicans make it about Democrats and Republicans. This is about democracy and oligarchy, democracy and anti-constitution, constitutionalists and anti-constitution people. This is no longer, our country is no longer going to be divided by Democrats and Republicans. The Republicans, like myself, the old ex-Republicans, there are many of us out here in the world. And we have joined with the Democrats, right? Because it's not because they're Democrats that we've joined. We've become part of the Democratic Party or independents, like I'm an independent. We've joined with the Democrats not because of their Democratic status, as in they are Democrats, but because they're for democracy. So the country is going to be divided but you heard me say this before, right? Right after the election, right before the election, this is not a Democrat Republican country any longer. Only the diehards, like the MAGA folks, and they don't consider themselves Republicans. There's nothing about a MAGA person that's Republican. Nothing. There is nothing about a Republican. The MAGA folks are not Republicans. And so I think what's going to happen, even with the Supreme Court, is that will the Supreme Court, this is just my thinking, don't know, just saying my observation, will the Supreme Court begin to see this as a democracy versus non-democracy? Just a question. Maybe you guys have answers. Maybe you guys have thoughts. That's why I present it to you guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I see in here, Kim says, I believe it when I see it. And I see Fifi is in the building. Hey, Fifi. Jazzy says, I'm talking about everyone else. Yeah. Lee says, as my artwork says, this is the result of Supreme Court effery. When's Gwendolyn when you need her? No. Effery. I like that, right? Effery. Craig says, number 45, now 47, I don't speak his name. All the more, he needs to deport his son, IMP. And I see here, Jazzy says, Elise, we are already there, which is why this is not just about Kilmer. That's right. It's not about him. It's about us. And again, the Republicans keep trying. Well, let me go back. The MAGA folks continue to paint him as a villain. Even though the courts have said that no, they can't find anything against this man. He has not committed any crimes. But yet they keep pounding it over and over again. You know the Trump philosophy. Say it over and over and over and over again, and people begin to believe it. There's some truth to that. Especially ignorant people. So, Trump and the MAGA folks continue to paint this guy as a bad person. But we who are on the side of democracy, even if he was a criminal, even if he committed crimes, even if he had a record, he is still due process. Right? If he was a criminal, if he did commit crimes, he is still due process. And the whole point of this exercise is not so much for Garcia, but it's for us. It's for the American citizen. It's for the people that may not agree with 45, 47. But it's for us. Due process. Due process. People are marching in the street for due process. As a matter of fact, did any of you guys march this weekend? There was a march that went on Saturday. One of my buddies, you saw him with me on yesterday at the Easter Bonnet Parade. And he photographed the march. He says there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people on 42nd Street and also on Fifth Avenue. Thousands of people went out. But they're out there for due process. Due process. Did any of you go out and march? Did any of you march this weekend? Did any of you go out? Just curious. I like the fiery, the fiery Elise, says Jazzy. Kimmy Kim, as she says, same Jazzy, I'll be her anger translator. Elise says there really isn't a Republican Party anymore. The Republican Party's dead. It's done. It's over. It has gone the way of the Whigs. Do you know who the Whigs were? Look it up. Jazzy says, I have asked this before. What did old Republicans stand for? Being a Republican, an old Republican, Republicans stood for the Constitution in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. They were also about being fiscally responsible. However, unfortunately, they were never fiscally responsible when you really look at it. But they talked it. They did talk it. But if you go back to the real old Republicans, they were on the side of anti-slavery movements. The old Republicans, the original Republicans. The Lincoln Republicans. Remember, the Republican Party of the 1800s was called the N-word party. They were called the IGA party. You know what I'm saying? Because Black people were Republicans first. Black people that were free from slavery were Republicans. Black people that were in the legislative bodies in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia were Republicans. The early Republicans were Black and anti-slave movement people. Or if they weren't anti-slave, they were all about keeping the Union together. They really didn't care about slavery. They just wanted to make sure that the Union was preserved, right? So the original Republicans were for freedoms of people, the original Republicans. Now, we also know after the McCarthy years and then into the 60s, the late 50s, really in the 60s, it was really after our wonderful John F. Kennedy that the party switched. Republicans became Democrats, and the Southern Democrats became the Republicans. And then you also still had some of the blue Democrats that were part of the Southern Democrats voted with the Republicans, but they still wanted to keep their Democrat name. But the Republicans became the Democrats. Black people moved over, and people of color, but Black people moved from the Republican Party to the Democrat Party. And the Democrats, the Southern Democrats, we became the Republicans. A flip. So it goes to show you, things don't stay the same in politics. Let's see here. But that was a good question, Jazzy. What do the Republicans stand for? It depends on what year and what century you're talking about. And Elise says, GR, I thought about you when I wrote it. She is our verbal translator. She's our get down, get dirty translator. We love Gwendolyn. Elise says, Jazzy, MAGA can't see beyond their racism and hatred. And y'all know who the core of MAGA is. See, you got to kind of look at the history. Guys, you got to keep following the history. As they say, follow the bouncing ball. The MAGA folks are the Tea Party. Remember the Tea Party? Y'all forget about the Tea Party. You're like, where did the Tea Party go? The Tea Party became MAGA. The Tea Party is MAGA. The core of the Tea Party is MAGA. That's where they came from. That's how 4547, to be respectful to Craig and not speak his name, 4547 used the Tea Party by strategizing birthism against Obama. Got a seat in the Tea Party, which were racist and bigoted and full of hate. The Tea Party hated everybody. And the Republicans used the Tea Party. They thought they could. And they thought they could do it and become unscathed. Right? Can we go down this history road? Can we take this history class? Can we do this class? And then so the Tea Party slowly hijacked the Republican Party. Boehner thought they could do it and let these Tea Party folks in because we need their votes. right? And then they grew and grew like a cancer that was uncontrolled in the Republican Party, and then began to kill off all of the respected traditional Republicans. And now you have MAGA. All of the major Republicans are gone. They've either died out for real, like General Powell, Secretary of State General Powell. Liz Cheney had to get out. They kicked her out. And Adam and all the rest of them. Yeah. So follow the bouncing ball of history. It's there. It's all there. And you will understand why we are where we are today. G says, I'm leaving my mark on the world. Yes, you are. Jazzy says, fiscal conservatism is something old Republicans ran on, but they actively ran up the deficit. I don't think I understand what the Republicans stood for. Like I said, you got to depend. It depends on what century, what decade. Groupthink is real. Nice. Jazzy says, now, Ron, you already know I'm not going out there. That's to the street. That's out to the marching. Elise says, I am marching. I am not marching. I am waiting to see how they vote in all of the upcoming elections this year and next year. My neighbor said, Ron, did you go out and photograph the marches? Did you go out and vote? Did you go out and march? I said, hell no, black folks ain't doing it. As you can know, he's white. And so we were in the courtyard on Saturday evening. He goes, oh, you didn't go? I said, nope, black folks are staying home. We support in other ways, but we are not putting our black bodies on the front lines again. Now, there's some out there, but the majority of us black folks are staying home. We do other stuff. Like we repost what's going on. Like I make sure I repost what's going on, the rallies, what's happening, the we do our part, but we do not have to be on the front lines. And I told him, I said, white folks got to do it. This is white folks' problem. This is a white man's problem, white girl's problem, white women problem, white voters problem. They created this mess. Now get out of it. Because black folks, we did not. The majority of us did not vote for this maniac. So he laughed. My buddy laughed. We were just having a good time in the courtyard. Isn't that great when you have white friends that you can just be honest with? And they don't feel no kind of way. He's not like, oh my God, what a racist thing to say, Ron. No, we talk truth. You should be able to have great conversation with people that don't look like you. I think that's truly when you realize who your friends are. Right? Because not only do you talk it, you live it. And my friends live it. Ali says, Republicans after the 1960s stood for racism, power, greed, and control. Exactly. Nixon. Again, the Republican Party was the people from the Southern Democrats. That's why. The Dixiecrats. Yes, that's their title. The Dixiecrats. The Southern Democrats were the Dixiecrats. The Dixiecrats. Thank you, Janet. Janet got that one. Jazzy says, if we are talking Constitution, then since the 80s, the Republicans have also been contradicting themselves. Of course they do. I ask this because everything I know them to stand for has been a total contradiction. Yes. Yes. Elise says, by the time most of the black people who are in the party now joined in was not the party of Lincoln. This is true. I am the last. I'm one of the last. But yeah, I truly was I was beguiled because I literally came into the Republican Party at the end of its real Republican life when there were some holdovers that really believed in I mean, I do believe some of the justices. Was Thurman Marshall a Republican? I think check it. I think he was. I was gonna read that. Did I read that right? Did I read that? This is from Kimmy Kim. I always saw it once I began voting as Republican, were conservative and Democrats were liberal. At one time, there was compromise, but since maybe in the last 20 years, compromise seemed more non-existent. And this is very true, Kimmy Kim. Back in the day, even during the Reagan years, even though Reagan did some bad things to the Black community, he's not a hero. Even though Republicans love him to make him a hero, but the same Ronald Reagan could not be a Republican today. They would have kicked him out. They would have kicked Ronald Reagan out of today's MAGA party. But back in the 80s, Republicans and Democrats could get along. They would make laws, pass legislation, balance the budget, balance the books. It was Clinton who worked with the Republicans, and they worked and back and forth. They worked across the aisles, then go grab a beer after. Those days are gone. Those days don't exist. That's why so many Republicans and Democrats have left politics altogether. Because and now it's all about destroying the other person. And no one cares about the people. That's what our country's become. But again, the people that are in these positions represent the people who live in the country. That's what America's become. Individuals that hate each other. Dr. Tachi says, and the Tea Party were too daft to realize they were being used, just like these Maha people. Dr. Tachi says, march for what? Huh? Exactly, Dr. Tachi. And Kimmy Kim says, yep, compromise was completely gone out of the window. I really ask because from what I have read, the party's actions have never aligned. There were some crossovers. We've done some great bills in the past. At least Janet says that. Look at this. I love you guys are engaged. You guys are not, that's why I love this community, because you guys are really sharp. I learn from you guys. Jazzy says, and especially when they are trying to take away due process and shipping people out of the country. Nope, not marching. Craig says, appreciate you. 45, now 47. Name isn't in the Heritage Foundation Project 2025, established over 100 times. I graduated from Secretary of State Colin Powell's High School, Morris High in the Bronx, the Bronx. Yes, Craig. Elise says, Ronald Reagan was the grand wizard. Yes, Ronald Reagan did some bad things. A lot of bad things, especially to Black people. Elise Stovall says, Dr. Tachi, exactly. And that's what Dr. Tachi says. So both figuratively and literally. And Janet says, don't think Marshall was a Republican, but Sammy Davis and first Urban Security of Housing was Secretary of Housing, I think. Yeah, I think I do believe Marshall may have been a Republican. Because he definitely was a Dixiecrat. And Jazzy Thurgood Marshall was a Democrat appointed by LBJ. Okay, there we go. Jazzy said he was a Democrat. Did he turn to a Democrat and was Republican first? That's a good question. He probably switched parties. Exactly, Jazzy. I think he switched parties like other Black people did. But I do believe he was originally a Republican. If I must not, you have to do the research. Do the research, but I'm pretty sure he was. Kaz says, what a mess and tangled web they weave when we practice to deceive. LMAO, Elise, that's fact. Hey, Craig, I lived 5 blocks away from Morris High School, Janice says. Okay, we're all caught up. What time is it? Okay, we did good. We did good. That was a good conversation, you know. But I do believe SCOTUS will, you know, I was at the parade yesterday. And for those that missed it, oh, you can definitely catch the parade. I'm gonna put this up real quick because I had so much fun this year at the parade, and that was because I finally knew what I knew what to do. You know, last year I was new to this YouTube channel thing, and so I was like getting my feet wet, like little toes getting wet, like couldn't figure it out. But yesterday I was in full mode and had the time of my life talking to people on the camera, hearing where they were from, what brought them to the parade, what inspired their bonnets. And so I really got in there and had the time of my life. So I just wanted to share. So just if you go to the page, which you see I have a new header. I put a new header on there, guys. I put a new header and added Touch Base Daily on there. So it's Touch Base Daily, around those photos. So I did that on the top. So, but anyway, to the story. So you can see. And notice, I'm not
what would be like Persephone's garden for like a
my camera around, make it horizontal, give it more professional look.
Anyway, happy holiday. I say happy Easter, Resurrection Sunday. Awesome. Enjoy the day. Thank you. Do you have an Instagram?
Yeah, it's stephanie.mcgovern.studio. And basically my whole art practice is there.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Had a great time. So if you guys want to check it out, I know some of you I've seen have already seen it.
You'll find
Olga V is my Instagram.
Madam Olga V?
Madam Olga V.
Olga V. Okay, got it. Nice. Nice.
And there was all kinds of people.
Welcome to New York. And what inspired you to come to the parade today? Mom. Well, welcome to New York. Do you have an Instagram to follow?
Yes.
What's your Instagram?
DeltaDandy.com.
There you go. And I'm Touch Base Daily. And my name is Ron Foster. Okay? And you'll find me on YouTube. Okay? Enjoy. There's more people. Look at the grass. Oh, man. This is
my buddy who I was telling you about.
And he got his gear. He's ready. He has his flash and everything.
He became a star with his little moss hat.
I just hang out. There you go,
we had the time.
Nice to see you.
Look, and what was your inspiration to your hat, sir?
My inspiration to my hat was last minute because I had a whole other.
I love it though. It's simplicity and beauty.
That was my
simplicity and beauty.
Arts and crafts project. So simple is better sometimes.
And where can people find you on Instagram?
Mike Kyoto. MIKIODO.
There you go, guys. He is an amazing photographer. One of my inspirations, and just a really cool dude. Love him to pieces. And so he's gonna be out, and I'm gonna take out my camera and take more pictures. But I'm doing videos right now. He must be with who we just talked. You're probably like, this guy is talking about. I don't even know who he is. He's good. Yeah,
it was everybody out there. It was so many people. It was a lot of fun. And Dr. Tachi would be proud of me because my camera is pretty steady and everything looks very more professional. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, for all your tips. So, but it was a good day. It was definitely a good day. And the folks came out.
Thank you so much.
This woman right here.
Happy spring. Happy Easter.
And she is leaving.
Looking good. And happy travels and new living.
I still love you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
I'm doing the same thing.
Jazzy says, Ron putting in that work as always.
Look at here.
I mean, look at the folks.
Oh,
Get your
Look
big
at
head out the
you
way. I wanted to say,
guys.
get
And
your
where you
big head
guys
out the
from?
way.
New York. And what was your inspiration?
Spring.
Spring. Nice. Look at that. From top to bottom, shoes and all, and looking sharp. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Welsh. Just wait.
So again, there you have it.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun, and the folks were so nice. But what was interesting when I talked to the folks, a lot of them was saying they were there, they were inspired to be there because one, they wanted to just be in the environment of the happiness and the colors of spring, but they would also say they wanted joy and they wanted peace. And it was interesting that a lot of people were feeling the same way. I kept hearing that repeated over and over again. I'm out here because I just want peace. I just want to just enjoy the city. I just want to enjoy other people. I just want to get back to normal. And so a lot of people are craving sanity. And you learn a lot when you're on the street and you talk to people. You learn a whole lot. Kimmy says, I saw some of it, Ron, a lot if people for try on. And let me see here. See some love there. Kimmy Kim says, a lot of people from different states and some countries. Yes, I had people from Poland, Italy, France, Sweden. There was Colombia. And then there were people all over the city too. Let me share this one also. Hold on a second. Let me pause because this woman right here, I didn't learn until yesterday as I was taping her, as I was doing this video, that she is responsible. This woman right here she does crochet. She does crocheting, and I got to meet her. I left the sound is on. I should put the sound on. Here we go.
Nice.
She's doing all that crochet. You see
Nice.
all over the city.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and what's your IG?
Carmen Community Artist.
Say that again.
Carmen Community Artist.
Nice.
And she does crochet. Like you can go up to like Spanish
I
Harlem.
just learned something today. Just learned something.
And all those
That's
areas.
her
There's
work.
like
Her work is all over the
crochet
city. Yeah,
artwork.
exactly.
She's the one responsible for the
Beautiful.
artwork in New York
Thank
City.
you so much. Happy spring. Happy Easter.
So really special, really special. I mean, her outfit was amazing, and she crochets everything. But there's literally these big murals in Spanish Harlem and on the east side of Manhattan of all these crochet murals, and she is the one that does them. Amazing. Met her yesterday, so now we'll follow her. But I love the streets of New York. You never know who you're gonna meet. You can hear the excitement in Ron's voice and laughter. I was having a good time. Jelly says, Ron putting in that work as always. Elise says, when talk about older Black people being Republicans, we have to remember that they joined before the parties flipped. Exactly. Lisa says, good afternoon, guys. I'm late. Okay, we love you. Welcome. And speaking of Lisa was with us last night at our wonderful game night, and she stayed to the end last night. We had a great time, and Chris R was our MVP yesterday. We had a great time. Okay, let's go into our wonderful message for today, and I'm gonna let you guys start the weekend. Today's it's gonna be very simple. It's gonna be very quick. So today we're talking about becoming the story you tell tomorrow. Let's get that on the screen. And so that's going to be our Motivation Monday tip for the day. And very simple message, very simple. Becoming the story you tell tomorrow. And here's for all artists and all creatives. All artists and all creatives. Motivation Monday, becoming the story you tell tomorrow. This is based on the Andy Warhol Let me put that, slide that over. Quote that says, the best thing about a picture is that it never changes, even when the people in it do. Ain't that the truth? You snap a photo, it freezes in time. That's it. It's frozen. It's there. That's it. It's not going to change. That picture is not going to change. However, even minutes after you take the picture, the people in the picture continue to change, to evolve. Like we were talking about Pope Francis, evolve. People evolve in their decision making. People evolve in their thinking. People evolve in their reasoning. People change. That's just the inevitable. People change. However, pictures don't. The artwork on your wall, when someone takes that paintbrush out or that chalk or that the etching, and they put it out and they put it on the board. Once it's done, it's done. It's not changing. All that artwork that Elise has in her house, done by many great creatives, the finished product is the finished product. You know, like as we celebrated Easter this weekend, and Jesus said, it is finished. It is finished. The work is done. The work is done. The people change, though. People always change. People are in a continual movement of change. So let's go. This week, y'all, this week, for all you creatives out there, let's embrace the timeless power of storytelling. A photograph captures a moment that remains frozen in time, even as the world around us shifts and evolves. Like those snapshots, our efforts and dreams leave a lasting impact, marking milestones, sparking emotions, and telling stories of resilience and hope. Those photographs, you taking a picture, again, grandma on the porch, auntie playing with the babies, someone taking a picture of you with your children back in the old days. Those beautiful moments, the graduation pictures. It's graduation time, y'all. It's graduation season coming up. Can you believe it? Next month, graduation season already. And every picture you take will be remembered for generations. You'll take that picture and you'll pass it down to the next person, and then they will pass it down to the next person, and so on and so on. It will be an emotion, a spark of emotion, a marking of the milestone, frozen in time. And it'll be cherished by many in the future. As it continues, as you navigate the week ahead, remember the work you do today becomes the story you tell tomorrow. Can I say that again? The work you do today becomes the story you will tell tomorrow. Focus on creating your narrative and showing up fully in each moment. Let's make this week count. Let's make this week count. So you guys, you photographers out there, you photographers, you creatives, or you creative interviewers like Elise is venturing into her creativity, in interviewing collectors, artists, we as photographers out here in these streets, photographing the holiday season. We just had Easter photographs he took yesterday. We have holidays and events coming up. Freeze them and enjoy those moments. Look to freeze the moments, especially all of these valuable moments. You know, I was conflicted last week, and this is one of the inspirations of this. So last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, I was, I visit my mom at the nursing home every week. And but what I've been doing is I was always conflicted in photographing my mother in these last years of her life. And my buddy who I had the conversation with on the bench, and we were talking, about, Black people sitting this one out, my buddy Andy. And Andy, his mom, when she was passing, he documented her life as she was, as her life was becoming more and more fleeting, and that she was now going to pass on. And he documented all of those like different moments. But I was always conflicted. I said, you know what? I don't know if I want to take pictures of this moment, and but it's interesting. 2 weeks ago, I started taking pictures. I started taking pictures of my mother at the nursing home. She was eating. We were having, we're just having a conversation, or a little conversation we could have, and we were talking, and I would say, "Ma, can I take a picture?" And she said, "Sure." At first, she was like, "No," but then she said, "Sure." And then I said, "Just be you. Just do what you do. I will take a picture as you just continue to live life." And so she was eating, and then she posed for a picture, and then she continued to do what she was doing. And it was great. I went back over and I looked at those photos this week. And I was like, okay, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. But the great thing in having these photos is that when she's long gone, I will still have these photos. I will reminisce on these moments. I will reminisce that she can't answer she doesn't have all the answers to the questions I'm asking, or that she will forget 5 minutes after I've asked her the question. Or even if she's answered the question, she will forget that she even answered the question in 5 minutes because the dementia is progressing. But I will have the images. I will have these photos. And I will be shaping my tomorrow. How I see my mother in the future. I will preserve the photos. I will have them. And this week when I was looking at them, because I took them last week, and I was looking at them this week, and again, that's one of the inspirations of why I put this all together for you guys. And it was the holiday weekend too. It was Easter, and I began to think about my godmother, and I began to think about all the pictures I have in boxes, which I have to go through as I begin to pack up this house. And pictures are so valuable. When we take these photos, we don't realize how valuable they are until years and decades later, when you can get a glance of a loved one that is no longer with us. And so I've begun sharing, documenting my mother's journey on this last stage of her life. And I just do it. I just take my smartphone out and I just photograph, and I don't take my big camera out. I don't even use it. I just took out my smartphone. And it hasn't been, I have to say, yesterday, like I said, during the week, I looked at the photos and I was like, oh, that's not bad. That's not a bad photo. She looks good here. So anyway, I hope that encourages someone today that you becoming the story you tell tomorrow. You're going to be telling the story of some great person in your life because you took a photo or you painted them or you created something in their memory. So there you have it. Guys, enjoy the rest of the week. Okay. Let me just share also. Let me just stop doing this. Let me just stop sharing this screen. I think that would help you. I think it will encourage you. I see you guys have put in here. I see here. Craig says, legacy. A picture is worth 1,000 words, is said. Absolutely. Bryson says, prom season and graduation season. That's what's happening now. Yes, we will be helping. Yes, Lisa, we will be helping. I will begin to, as we roll into May, I will get more information from the high school, and we will be supporting the high school again this year. Yes. Yes. G says, we must tell the story as it is. I did my great nephew's newborn sessions in the ICU. Wow. She says, I did the same for my dad and another on their 50th anniversary, which also in the ICU. Fifi sends hearts. I see Kimmy with the hearts. I see Jazzy with the hearts. Kaz says, it really does depend on the person and the level at which they want to remember the person. At what stage you and the person are comfortable with taking them. Good to ask them to. Exactly. Kaz says, thanks for sharing the moment, Ron. Jazzy says, so truly, I did an interview with my grandmother a year before she passed. I asked her so many questions. I'm grateful for it. Yeah. We don't know the value until years have passed. Kimmy says, I love that I had the ability to give my mom as much as she needed of me before she passed. Jazzy says, got it on video. Chris Bailey's in the building. Hey, Chris, we missed you. We haven't seen you in a while. Ron, if you snapped an instant today, it is purely a reflection in the future of a bit of their past. Amen, Chris. Okay, there we have it. Let me give you some of the last things here, and then we're out of here. We're out of here again. Sign up for the email listing on my page, or just go to my website, ronlewisphotos.com. Fill that out and get on the mailing list. Also, if you are looking for an event photographer, or you know someone that is looking for an event photographer, make sure they can call me, text me, DM me. I will be glad to photograph your event. I have a big event coming up, supposedly. I'll tell you more about it at the end of the week. For next week, it's another magazine. It's another big magazine that I'll be photographing for next week. So I'll give you the details on it. And thank you, Patreon members, all our wonderful Patreon folks that support this platform. We could not do this without the Patreon folks. So if you see a Patreon person, or if you know of a Patreon person that's here, make sure you thank them, because we will not be doing this. I have to go to work. I would not take the time to do this if you guys did not support it. Okay, so if you support it, we'll do it. If you stop supporting, I will stop doing it. That's just how it goes. Also, Rolling Clouds is one of our sponsors, and they are coming soon with their product, which is a cigar company. And a dear friend of mine and she and her partner are doing amazing work in putting their company together. I'm looking forward to supporting them and photographing their opening night, which is coming up this summer. And so excited about that. And last but not least, if you're looking for a photographer, photograph your world, I teach basic photography 101, and that is virtually. Okay, so there you have it. There you have it. Those are my announcements. And guys, have a great week. Do something special. And look up some of these stuff that we talked about today. Look into the, I'm definitely curious. I want to make sure I get that correct with our Supreme Court Justice Marshall. And also, if you want, there's a great opportunity to learn about the Catholic Church and the conclave as they now begin to focus and zero in on finding a new pope. And the whole process about that is going to be all over the television. So let's take the opportunity to learning out of our everyday stories. And last but not least, create the stories. Become the story you tell tomorrow. Create the story you will tell tomorrow. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's our Tip Tuesday, another tip for your photography. So join us here tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll talk shop. Okay, love you and see you tomorrow. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.